Hey friends, how we doing? It's 3 o'clock on Tuesday, September 8th, and I'm Father Dennis, and I'm glad that we could all gather together and join so that we could kind of do a Monday or a Tuesday check-in, see how everybody's doing, check and see where our hearts are and what's happening with everybody. Hey Maria, hey Sinead, hey Brenda. Thank you very much, Sharon. I appreciate that. Very jazzy. I got to figure something up or figure out some different music, but I like that one. It was kind of fun. Production value 100. Yes. That's what I'm going for. Trying to take it up a notch. Oh goodness. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's day gone so far? Hopefully well. Myself, I have accomplished a great amount today actually already, and I have a ton more to do, but as of now, I'm feeling very accomplished. I'm glad you are in your studio and it's a good day. Always a good day when you're able to stop and create something. Hey, Sharon. So anyway, yeah. I've got some good stuff happening with the podcast and everything kind of getting set up. I'm meeting with a couple different people who are helping me in terms of getting a number of kind of just topics that I want to cover. So I'm going to continue doing the 3 o'clock or the 11 o'clock readings every day, Monday through Friday. And then what's going to happen, I'm going to start off with about once a week, and I'm going to build up from that. But I want to do a podcast that I either am talking about a particular topic myself, or that I'm inviting somebody else to come in and be a part of that. And so it's been good. It's been nice. Maria, you're in the process of completing your homework. As long as you're giving your homework the focus that it's due, I think that's a good thing. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm talking with a couple of different people in a couple different parts of the country and seeing what everybody's up to and kind of trying to get a better gauge. We've got people everywhere that are tuning in for these, and I think that's really important. We're Atlanta-centric, or I am, because, that's my town, but all of us are kind of needing other things in other places, and I want to make sure that we are touching on all the topics that touch all of our hearts, because the more we know about what's going on with each other in other places, the better we are together, right? And so that's ultimately my goal with all of this. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. Da-da-da. So yeah. If you guys have any thoughts, there's topics that you guys want to cover, be sure to let me know. I would prefer them to be, rather than uncovering the great mystery that is to come of who I decided to follow their advice and not, shoot me a message on Messenger on Facebook, or shoot me an email to ddorner@catholicshrineatlanta.org. And I'd love to help out and cover whatever it is that needs to be covered. I want to discuss and kind of talk about some other stuff. I'm going to bring in some other topics that you'd never think that I'd talk about, just so that we kind of learn to start talking and telling stories and sharing things about our lives. I think that's one of the most important things that we do to connect each other, is to know more about each other and how to go about sharing our own lives. And so that's another thing that I think I'm going to make sure that we are doing here as a community, because it's important. Let me turn that off. We don't need that anymore. So yeah, let's see. Back from helping my in-laws in San Diego. Who would have thought it would have been cooler in Atlanta? Yeah, West Coast is getting nailed with a heat wave. And shocking, Georgia's cooled off. I mean, we say cooled off. It's still, 80-something degrees outside. I think it was high 80s just a little bit ago. How warm is it? Dun, dun, dun. 88 degrees. Yeah. So, I mean, but it feels better than it did last week for sure. It's been nice. The cooler nights have been awesome, and the cooler mornings are just tremendous. I've sat outside and read for the last couple nights, and it's been really, really nice. And the mosquitoes don't like the cool so much, so it's been really kind of glorious from my end. I love sitting outside. I'm hoping to get like a fire pit at some point in months to come. I just found out a neighbor nearby has he sells firewood. I'm like, yeah, because then I don't have to take it very far, so I can just load the back of the truck up and take it across the street. So I'm excited about that. I like to spend as much time outside as I can. Every rectory that I've had a spot that I've kind of set up as my workstation outside, and I really like having that little outside workspace. And even when I was in seminary, I used to go and visit a friend, and I'd sit out on her back porch all the time, and I'd work on my papers, or sitting out back there and chugging coffee and writing papers. Yeah, the 60s at night it's amazing. It's like a bit of relief too. I sleep better when it's cooler as well. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to talk to a couple of different people as well. I want to get a couple of mental health care professionals in here to talk with me, and doing some interviews as well about just some of the things that we can be doing right now and in this extended stress response that we're having. And that's tremendous. Yeah, I kept my window open out in the front of the house last night. I don't have screens on a bunch of my back windows. I need to fix that. Well, I've got to fix the windows in general, but once they get fixed, I'm going to put screens on, and then I look forward to cracking a window. I don't want to invite in the mosquitoes right now. They're not my friend. they're the worst. But yeah, and I can't recommend it more. I had a great formator when I was in seminary, Dr. Kate Wiskus, and she used to start her mornings every day. She'd spend time with her skunk. She had a skunk that used to live underneath her back porch, and she would be out there every morning journaling, and that was her time with God every morning. And such a great gift. And that's one of those things that I kind of recommend to everybody when you're every morning was such a great thing for us to start off the day with, is to begin with the idea of of gratitude, to start off our minds with gratitude first and foremost, and then to spend that time and just kind of put those three markers at the top of your journal page, and then go from there, and and allow kind of God to guide your thoughts as we put them on paper. I'm a big proponent of paper journaling for so many reasons, but the main one is in terms of processing in and of itself. The processing that is done when we write things out on paper is so much more efficient. And when you treat it as prayer, it's even it heightens it, it elevates it a little bit, and how tremendous that is. And so that's something I want to share, definitely. Sinead, she loves the idea of, let me add that. I love the idea of mental health talk. You know, we're in this time of extended fight or flight. It's also freeze for a lot of people. That's the third component that a lot of people don't know about. Because everyone's not a fighter, and everybody doesn't have the capacity to run from the situation they're in, right? And so there's that, just that stasis, or that freezing that happens. It's almost like an arrest of thought. And so, yeah, I want to bring, I've got a couple different people that mental health professionals right now are super busy, you know, and I think they're, you know, because they are so busy, it may be a little bit before I'm going to be able to get them on. But I've had three different guys that, well, actually, two different women and two different guys who I'm looking forward to having come and talk at different points. And if I can line it up perfectly, I'd love to do a panel with a number of them and bring them in by way of Zoom or something like that and have a conversation. So mental health is something that's so imperative, and that ability and that opportunity to be able to process everything that's going on, that's what's going to help us. And so, yeah, that's where we are in Flocked, which we are doing with you right now. Yes, indeed. I love getting y'all's feedback as well. I mean, that's a given. That's why I'm here, to be with you all. Good day, David. I am Father Dennis. It's good to see you. Let's see. I'm trying to get a program together on mental health care for transfiguration. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea. You should get that together for your parish. It's a super important thing. You almost have like a list of resources. And if you can do a blast to your own parish, and you have people that attend your parish that maybe that are at least I hope, out of the sheer body of people that are there, you probably have a couple mental health care professionals that are there. And you may know them and you may not, but try to create a body of work that you can work with, of individuals that you can kind of, because you don't want to inundate one particular person with every single person from one parish. I have about 4 different people that I tend to dole people out to, depending upon what they're dealing with and everything else. So, but yeah, whatever you can do for your parish, please, by all means. Yeah, this is a very ADD conversation today. So, looking back to what Sean just said, to meditate and to treat spiritual journeying as prayer, you get your feelings, you write it down. It's this way of, you begin your day with joy and gratitude and focusing on what's present. And then we propel that with just kind of a sharing of God, what's in your heart as you begin the day and what you hope for in the day. It's not a wish list, but rather it's a setting your mind in motion so that your actions follow in accordance with that. And if we invite the love of God to be that which is walking in tandem with that hope for the day, what great gifts can come from that. So it's super awesome. And yeah, I'm always going to be incredibly supportive of that. So what else do I know? What else can I share with y'all? What else can y'all share with me? Because that's what the 3 o'clock is about. I want to know what's happening with you guys. Let's see, I don't know, how many people are on right now? Can I look? Can I see? I cannot tell. Oh, I got about 17 of y'all right now. Cool. Another thing that's helpful to me is to do a reaction anytime you're watching the video. You know, let me know what's up. I like to know you're here. There's a lot of people that like to kind of linger, and that's good. But also, I want to, you know, make sure that your voice is heard and that you are known as being a part of the community. It's a bold thing. Some people don't like to say anything, and I understand that. I gave up anonymity a long time ago, and so I take for granted how some people kind of like to hide in the back. But me personally, I like it when people say hello. I am also not someone who's going to call you out. That's not my style. So I don't like putting people on the spot because I get embarrassed when people do that to me. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everybody's here. Yeah, I just kind of want to stop and share that as I was taking an account of this. You saw the ocean this weekend. You always feel close to God when I'm there. When you were there, that's awesome. Yeah, you know, so many people are able to engage the divine so much in a different way, but in a way that is very a visceral response to the divine. Like your entire being reacts to that encounter, and sometimes that's just taking a hike. Sometimes that is watching the sunrise. That's such a gift. If you have the opportunity to watch the sunrise any given morning, watching the sunset. I had a buddy of mine that anytime the wind would blow, it would remind him of the Holy Spirit. And now it's kind of ingrained in my mind. So if from still air and suddenly I hear or feel the wind at my back or my, wherever wind is, I'm like, oh, there's God. It's the wind, but it reminds me of God in a very important way. And so that's powerful, and that's special. To see nature and birds, to recognize the Christus in the world around us, right? The divine around us. To see that goodness and being present is so powerful. Let's see, tools you use for sustaining. These are all good things, man. Yeah, sense. We are so sense oriented. There's a reason that the sacraments are multisensory. It's because it engages us higher. And so whatever you can do in terms of light, in terms of other things. Also be aware with light in your own home. I don't know if you guys have the ability, the knowledge of doing this. The earlier you can start turning off every light in your house, the better. And it's not just for saving energy, but rather the light that we keep on all night long, it keeps us awake. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. Especially light that comes from above, the way that the sensors in our eyes are. Light from above is intended to energize the body, even if it's tired, because what else comes from above, in terms of how we're wired, would be the sun. And so if the sun's up, we should be up, right? And so if I've had a bunch of people that are really struggling with insomnia right now, which is a good old friend of mine. One of the good things that you can do is make sure you don't use any overhead lights. I would say after like 9 o'clock at night, if you can help it at all. And really kind of stick with just like a light that you would use, a lamp, and low lamps are better. Obviously, if you're reading, you want a sufficient amount of light to be able to read. But if you're struggling with sleep, that might be something that you can do that just changes things up a little bit. And I've always found that the best thing, if you find yourself awake in the middle of the night, sometimes prayer is just the way to go. That's good. That's a great way to start your days, David. I think we all need to kind of start our day to the best of our ability. Here's what happens, though. The alarm goes off, and we just you got to just run and jump and get things going, right? What a struggle that is. And we forget, and prayer and God become a postscript because we just we get so crazy in our everything. I'm a big fan of getting up before the rest of the world and trying to be up as early as I can to be with God. It doesn't happen every day as much as I'd like it to right now, just because sometimes I'm up really late now. If I'm, talking with somebody who needs to, have a conversation or something like that, you find yourself in just situations that sometimes you find yourself sleepless or your mind is occupied with the many things of the day. And as much as you've taken that to prayer, sometimes it's just too much and your brain just won't slow down, right? I always take that time and I take it to prayer. And I think it's God telling you it's time to process, but it's also that knowing and that ritual that you have of kind of really emptying self and giving what you can over to God. Yeah, Kay. I mean, the middle of the night's a great time to pray. When I was in seminary, if I couldn't sleep, I'd go to the chapel a lot. And I find that when I would just find that spot and I find that spiritual reading maybe, or I find something that's edifying to my heart and just consoling, not something that's challenging, but just something that kind of feeds me the right way. And it might be a sweet story. It might be, you know, when I was at IPF, they always talked about you find your own Nazareth, that place where the Holy Family dwelled, right? That first home of Christ, that first stable home of Christ, I guess, is what we'll call it, because you know Egypt was, you know, they were fleeing, and so, but that time in Nazareth that they were there and they were stable, and so we have this mindset of Nazareth in your own head. What is that place of peace in your own mind? And you create you create that somehow in prayer. You create that somehow in your own being. How do I go about doing that? And we did a video with all the kiddos recently. You know, how do you pray? For me, I have to set it up. I have to have like a candle or something like that. I need the light, because for me, God is light, and that's what we're called to be, is light. And so that sensory of light is like super powerful. But it's a good way to go. It's a great way to pray. Deep night is when the creative is not distracted. I totally get that. I wrote most of my papers either in the early hours of the morning or the late hours of the night, and sometimes it was both of those strewn together. But yeah, I agree with you. That's where I really like all of those kind of. I love being able to, when those creative juices are flowing, when you're able to just really produce, embrace that, go with it, you know, and sometimes that's the middle of the night. So yeah, what a great video. I'm glad you were enjoying it, Sharon. I think a lot of people are finding themselves sleepless, and so that's why I think it's good for us to talk about what can you do when you can't sleep. You pray, you journal, you draw. There's a fun artist. His name is Austin Kleon, and he takes news articles and he'll black out the majority of the words, and the words that remain form a poem or a statement of sorts. And I enjoy a lot of what he's done with his art. And when I find a stack of like old Georgia bulletins that have kind of sat there, I'll do the same thing. And sometimes you can actually write a prayer out of the block, you know, the words that you don't block out. Kind of neat. We always had an altar on our windowsills for the kids to focus and do prayers. I love that. Where the light comes in, they take the prayers and put them out. I think that's important. And that's even cool imagery too, because they're looking out on the world from their home and hoping to share those prayers. I like that. These are all great things. I love when hearing the kids how they pray. I think it's the most innocent way. I remember when my little sister and brother, when they were studying at Calvary, I guess it's a non-denom. I don't know what denomination it is. It's in Charlotte, but great preschool. And when they would come home, they would pray with their hands open to receive that grace of God. And I'm like, I think that's beautiful. Posture in prayer is important. It's not about doing it right. It's about doing it in a way that it's effective. Got to encounter God. Listening to podcasts is great for me on nights of insomnia. I like hearing stories when I'm listening to podcasts. I don't like to learn when I'm trying to fall asleep, because then I get like inspired to do more stuff, and then the ADD hamster on the wheel starts running again, and next thing I know, I've plotted out how I'm going to start 3 new hobbies. So, but I appreciate where you're coming from. I like the stories. I use an app called Calm that has a number of different stories read by different people, and I'll just listen to a story. And one was about like all the different sheep of the world, and about how they're different, you know, their wool, how it's different textures, and how they're different shapes of, you know, in their build. And it was very interesting. It was read by a Scottish man. I was like, oh, this is fascinating. And it put me to sleep 3 different times now. It's not that it's boring. It's just he's very calm. What we have to do is distract our minds in those times when we can't sleep. And if it's so occupied, then maybe I have enough that I need to bring over to God. And sometimes it's just a bunch of rubbish. And in those times, it means, let me just distract myself. And we can do that in a way that's just pleasant, and being mindful of kind of recounting something like a simple walk, or how do we go to our pantry to grab a snack, and you think of each step from where your room is to where you go, and you think of each floorboard along the way, and the light switches that are along the wall, picture that's hanging, And you think of each and every detail. And as you sit there and go, your mind just kind of stops being in control. Or you stop being in control of your mind, rather. And you're able to rest. And so anyway, that's enough rambling for me. But I wanted to take some time this afternoon and check in with everybody and see how everybody's doing. And just share with you kind of what I have in the plans for the not too distant future. I'm glad that we could all get together today. And I'm glad that everybody's doing well. It's nice to hear all these things. And I'm glad you guys have your little rituals. And if you find yourself without a ritual, maybe that's a good activity for us to kind of start brewing over the next couple days. How do I want to start my day? How do I want to end my day? And what do I want to do in the middle of my day to refresh myself? I hope that you guys have an awesome afternoon. I will see you guys in the morning. Peace be with all of you. Be good to each other.